This year I went to Bologna Children's Book Fair in Italy for the first time, and I thought I would do this video so if you're going in future years it might help. So I'm just going to go over 5 tips on how to prepare and things to know before the fair. So let's get started. I've got a little list here so I don't forget, so that's why I keep looking at my phone. Okay, number 1 is book early. When we actually made the mistake of booking a little bit late this year, we booked around a month before the fair. Maybe, no, a little bit longer. We booked around 2 months before the fair. So our Airbnb was quite far out. Like, in order to get like a decent price and like a decent flat, we ended up being quite far away from the city centre, which meant, and unfortunately it was the other side to the fair, so we'd have to get, it wasn't that much of a hassle, but when you're carrying loads of bags, you kind of want to just be able to get there and not have to be lugging stuff around the city, so we'd have to get a bus into town and then we actually walk to the fair. We now know that there's actually buses that go from the centre to the fair, so I'd really recommend looking at buses and booking early to get location maybe closer to the fair, but actually I think the best location would be near the city centre, because why not? It's easy to get to the fair from the city centre and it's good, you know, for the nightlife. When I say nightlife, I mean food. When you book online, you can get an Illustrators ticket to the fair. I think it costs €50 and I think that's instead of 80. But honestly I'm not sure what the full price is, but it's a decent discount, so, and you may as well get it if you're going as an illustrator, but you do have to apply in advance and then they send you the code about a week before the fair. Well, at least that's what they did with me. And I also heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but I know in past years if you applied for the illustration competition, which they run the year prior, you actually get free tickets to the fair. So I didn't know about this and I'm not sure they still do that, but it's definitely worth looking into if you are planning to enter the competition. Now my second tip is the only one that's actually not to do with the fair, and that's just to get to Bologna a little bit early. Like, that's something I'm really glad that we did this year. We arrived on Saturday morning and the fair obviously started on Monday, so that means we got a weekend to look around, and Bologna itself is beautiful. Like, it is amazing for food. It is the best food I've ever eaten in my life. No word of a lie, but it's also just gorgeous. Like, I visited the cathedral, went in some churches. Oh my, it's just beautiful. It's a lovely place. And also on the Sunday we actually discovered that we could go to Venice for the day, and again, amazing weather, and I think because it's slightly it's not in the summer, you don't get the touristy busyness that you would get in the summer, but we also got boiling heat, so I'm going to insert a few little videos of that day here. But I mean, it only cost us €12 each way and we got a really inspiring and amazing trip to Venice. And if you've never been before, I would definitely recommend it, because you're in Italy and the transport links from Bologna are really good and also really affordable, so you may as well make the most of, you know, seeing what's around. So that is tip number 2. Oh, and if you do go to Venice, get on the water bus because we were walking around for ages and we didn't realise we hadn't actually got to the centre. Maybe we were just stupid, but we didn't realise we hadn't actually got to the centre of Venice. We'd just been walking around like the bit near the train station and thinking that was the whole of Venice, and then we got on the water bus. It took us all the way to like St Marco Square. I can't remember the name exactly, but oh my gosh, beautiful, and made the trip worthwhile. Well, obviously the book fair made it worthwhile, but it was definitely a tick off the bucket list, and I would recommend it if you have time or you get there a little bit early, because yeah, you may as well make the use of being in Italy and seeing amazing things so nearby. And my third tip is, as soon as you walk into the fair, the first thing you see is the Illustrators wall. I think it's called the Illustrators wall, but it's actually quite a few walls, which surprised me because I'd previously heard that there was like one wall everyone sticks their work on, but it was actually like maybe about 8 walls, maybe more. There was a lot of walls and it was just absolutely full. Like, we got there first thing in the morning and it was already like nearly full of just amazing illustrators work. People pin up posters, people pin up tear sheets, people pin up postcards, and they also look like people pin up their business cards holders as well. So definitely print work to go onto the wall. And on that note, I would actually recommend you print something a bit bigger. I printed mine A3, which I'm quite glad about, because anything A4 or anything like postcard size, it just gets completely flooded out on the wall. And also when it's smaller, I think people are more likely to like pin their stuff over the top, which is a little bit annoying. So I'd print something bigger. You could even go bigger than A3. I think some people had like really quite big posters on there, and obviously the bigger it does stand out, and I mean, don't go too big, like too massive, you probably won't be able to fit it on the wall, but I would definitely say go bigger and also have something to put your business cards in, because if you use like a little box, like the business card comes in a box, you can like pin that side to there, but also be warned, people will probably yank it off and stick their own business cards in there, so you do have to kind of keep stocking up and checking on it throughout the fair. But it's really fun and definitely worth spending some time looking at the other illustrators' work, because it is ever so slightly intimidating but a lot more inspiring. It's absolutely amazing. So that is definitely step number 1 when you get into the fair. Okay, I'm really sorry about this weird jolty pause. I'm really sorry about this pause. My memory card just filled up, so I'm just gonna try and get through the rest of this video without it filling up again. I need to get a bigger card, but that point aside. So my next tip is getting your portfolio and business cards ready before. And I say before, I just mean so it's not a mad rush right before. So get your printing sorted. I mean, you can bring it on a iPad. I know quite a lot of people actually this year did have it on their iPad. Personally, I think because it is a publishing fair and you are trying to show your work as in, you know, how it would work in a children's book or how it would work in publishing, it's quite nice to have it printed, I think, just because of the context. But of course you can bring an iPad, and that is obviously going to be a lot cheaper than printing it. But even if you've got it on an iPad or if you've got it printed, no matter what your portfolio is like, definitely get your business cards and maybe some postcards, some tear sheets, you know, get all your promotional material sorted quite a bit before the fair, so you can just relax when you're packing and just not panic about last minute bits like that. And my final tip is to book appointments in advance. This is something we didn't do, but in retrospect we should have done, and if I go again I definitely will book appointments in advance. I think a lot of publishers, especially the larger ones, don't do portfolio reviews on the day, and they are quite busy. I mean, to be fair, the main point of this fair is for publishers to kind of promote their books, so it's not, I mean, Illustrators, it's definitely welcome towards Illustrators. There's a whole Illustrators corner, there's a whole Illustrators wall, you know, but they're not the key element of the fair. So it does make sense that you're not going to be their main focus. So if there's a publisher you really want to see, definitely contact them a few months before the fair and ask if they're going, send over your website, express your interest and just say, you know, do you have any portfolio reviews available? Could I book a short appointment with you? And hopefully they'll say yes. I mean, what you can also do is there's a book, I can't remember the name of it, but I will link it below, that my friend had, because I went with a friend who is a children's book illustrator, and you can get this book which has all the contact details in. So it has like all the main publishers and all their most recent relevant contact details for the art directors. So it actually can kind of work in your favour, because then you can just call them up, and sometimes people are more likely to say yes if you talk to them on the phone rather than just sending them a standard email you've sent around. So definitely worth booking your appointments in advance if there's someone you really want to see, because you don't want to be disappointed. You don't want to have one big publisher in mind and get there and realise they're not actually going to see you. So do that do that beforehand. But also you can obviously book many on the day. That's what we did. Some companies will give you a time slot, and then you go and see them like the next day or the next few days, and you'll have a specific time to go. Whereas some companies do it so they have a whole hour, just 1 hour, of reviews, and you just have to queue and wait and hopefully get one. This isn't my favourite way, but obviously if there's someone you really want to see, it is definitely worth getting in the queue and getting your portfolio review. But you do have to keep in mind that sometimes the queues will be long. Like we queued for one an hour before, and it was already a massive queue, so it ended up being a 1.5 hour queue that we didn't actually get to go to the review in the end, because I had another publishers meeting that I'd pre-booked up, so I had to end up leaving the queue when I got quite close to the front, because I didn't realise we were going to be queuing for like nearly 2 hours. So definitely keep in mind that the ones where you have to like first come first served, the queues will be big and the queues will be early. So make sure you have enough time to spare for the appointment, you know, including the queuing, and get there early and just sit in the queue, because you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I mean, another point is on the same point of appointments, you can actually book quite a lot of the appointments early morning. So you get there at the very beginning of the fair and go to the Illustrator corner. You can get portfolio reviews from there, and you can also get them from certain stalls. So you'll find out that some do just early morning bookings, so you just have to get there and hope for the best. If you have when you have meetings, whether you have them pre-booked that you've organised prior to the fair, or whether you book them on the morning or the day, or if you have a set time and your name is on a list to be somewhere, make sure you're there. That is one thing we were very careful about, and it did sometimes mean missing other meetings that we could have also been interested to. But if I'd told somebody I was going to be there, I made sure I was there. Even if it meant missing out on another one which I suddenly found out about that I really wanted to go to. Definitely organise your time and just be mindful that your name does get remembered. I went to a meeting and it was amazing. Like, I met an art director who I'd actually recognised and met at a fair I had a show at last year. So she actually recognised me and she recognised my work, and we had a little chat about it and we made notes about that. So it's quite important that people do remember you, and the industry is very small. So if you have meetings with somebody, don't just skip them. Make sure you're there on time and make sure you're polite and you're ready and you've got all your things prepared. And yeah, I think I am adding this in a bit later, but I think that's really important to make note of. Don't just think oh well, I'll miss it and go to this other fair, not a fair, this other review that they're just doing, it's for like a big company that I'm kind of interested in, I'll just skip that other one. No, because that other one might end up giving you an incredible project that you might end up working on, and if you don't go, that makes you look bad, and it's just not fair on them either, because they've booked in that time slot for you, and the fair is only a few days. So be mindful of the art director's time and also your name. So yeah, I thought that was quite important. So I know you're mainly going to be there to get portfolio reviews and get feedback on your work, but it's definitely worth noting that this fair is big and it is incredibly tiring, and if you do what we did and also walk to the fair, your feet will hurt. Definitely wear comfortable shoes. I don't think people mind that much what you're wearing. Obviously don't go crazy, and don't look really rough, but just wear normal clothes and wear comfortable shoes and you'll be fine. It's long and it is painful, and I've actually never experienced pain in my feet like I experienced that week in Italy, so prep for that. Wear comfortable shoes, get there early, and also make sure you make time for the Illustrator talks. There's an amazing talk series on, and you'll get a little leaflet as you walk in and it'll have all the talks listed, so it's really nice to take a bit of a break and go and see some talks. You don't have to just go to the Illustrator talks either. You're welcome to go to the digital media talks, the book talks. There's a really good talks program at the fair, and you are paying to go, so you may as well make the most of that. So there's talks, there's portfolio reviews. Am I missing anything? Pack a lunch. Once you go into the fair, well, you can buy lunch in there, but it's not that great and it's very expensive. So I'd recommend bring yourself a packed lunch and bring yourself water bottles and snacks for the fair, because like I said, it's a lot of walking, and once you go into the fair, which we didn't realise either on the first day, and they were very kind and they did let us in, but I don't think they'll often let you do that. So make sure you get you bring the stuff you need for the day, because once you go into the fair, even if you have a weekly ticket, you can't just go out, get lunch and go back in. You can't do that, they don't allow it. Like, once you're in, and once you leave, you're out. So keep that in mind, because that's something we didn't know prior to going. And you get to meet some illustrators from all over the world come, and we met people from China, we met people from Germany, you end up being around in the queues, people from all these different countries. We also ended up seeing people from our old university, which was really nice, like seeing the tutors again and seeing students who are currently studying. So I definitely recommend the book fair to anyone interested in children's publishing, children's illustration. And if you do go, let me know how it goes. Let me know how let me know your experience if you went to the previous fair, and I will see you again soon. If you're interested in videos related to illustration, then please give me I don't know what I'm saying. Please subscribe and give this video a like. It means so much to me. I'm so new and I do get so excited every time I see a new subscriber, so that would be amazing. And I will leave it there, and hope you will have a lovely week. Bye bye.